Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another session here at Kingdom Design. My name is Liane, and it is a delight to speak to you today about seed time and harvest. I'm quite passionate about this topic, especially now as we have so much time. One of the biggest resources that man can ever have is time. So it is important for us to know what time it is. It seems like it is a season of a lockdown. You know, many people are physically locked down, but the worst kind of lockdown is a mental lockdown. So I've just been meditating on, some of this information that I've been reading from different sources, and I'd like to share it with you if you have time. Okay, so moving on, talking about time, to every person, time has been allocated. Everyone has a start time and an ending time. Others had 2 days on this earth, others have had months, others have had many years, others, unfortunately, never even get to see the beauty of life, outside the womb. So when I think about time, I think deeply about the time that I have been given and why I still have this resource and what am I doing with it and what I have done with my past time, what I am doing with my present time, and what I plan to do with my future time. So time is quite important because it is the time that determines the harvest. I read an article about a florist who was doing a bit of training to some of his apprentices and said, if you touch the buds of a flower before their time, the flower will fail to bloom to its full potential. So roses have to be kept in specific temperatures. They have to be grown at a specific season, a specific time. But what is most important, the quality of the rose, is it being kept covered until it is ready to bloom. Okay. So if you're in a hurry to see what color the rose is and you touch the buds, or if you remove the leaves or the covering, for lack of better words, the coating that is hiding the flower inside, if you touch that premature and open it, then this flower has lost its full potential to bloom into what it was intended to be. Okay. I like to talk about making a new normal. So your time has been altered. You used to wake up in the morning, get in your car, drive to work, an hour's drive. You used to spend your weekends maybe traveling, exploring, being adventurous, and seeing the nation and all it has to give. But now you have a new normal. What is very sad is that this new normal is being dictated to us. So you're being told to stay at home, okay? Against your will, you're being told to stay at home. For very many reasons. Of course, it is good to listen to the authorities, it's good to obey them, but you have been dictated what to do with your time. Stay at home, they say. What you do with your time at home is your prerogative. Okay. And why people do not understand harvest is because they do not understand time and they do not understand seed. Let me go just to this slide and then I'll go back and talk about a little bit of wisdom that has added to our session today. With every harvest, there has to be a seed. And with every seed, there has to be the experience of night and day. The night and day is as important as the seed and as important as the harvest. When did we first, make the association between these three properties of seed time and harvest? Well, I will read it to you. It's in Genesis chapter 8, verses 22. Okay, and these are the words of God to a man named Noah. He says to him, as long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Seed time and harvest will never cease. Cold and heat will never cease. Get used to it. Summer and winter will never cease. Day and night will never cease. Seed time and harvest will never cease. People want the harvest without putting in the seed and the time. You cannot get these wonderful oranges on your screen without planting an orange seed. So if I gave you a seed, most people would throw it away. And that's what most people do when they finish eating a good fruit. They throw the seed away because they do not see the trees that are hidden inside the seed. And why do we end up with poor harvests? Look back in your life and see most of your regrets have been around the time that you spent and also the seed that you have. Everyone has seed. Every single person is given the gift of seed when they come onto this earth. Some people have the seed of wisdom, others of knowledge. They are wonderful brainiacs. They love to spend time in the library, reading all these books, getting into research, developing inventions, innovating new procedures, skills, end up with a harvest of a Nobel Prize. There are others whose seed is in their vocal cords. So they train day in, day out. They hire the best. All they do is sing day and night. So they are nourishing their seed with time. And in the end, they can charge you $1,000 to perform at a wedding. Or they can get millions of crowds to see them in an arena. So those of you who are hating on people who have really developed their seed is because they have not understood what their personal seed is. What is your seed? What is your gift? If you have a fingerprint, then you have access into a place only where you can dominate. My fingerprints can only open my locker at work. Okay. My retinal scan can only give me access into my lab. What do you have that you are using to give you access? If I want to have a harvest, I need to know what type of seed I have. Some of you have mustard seeds, but because you do not understand anything about a mustard seed, you throw it away, failing to realize that it is one of the biggest trees that can ever grow. Okay, the acorn seed, so small, one of the biggest trees that can ever grow. What is your seed? And why we have a lot of envy, fighting, warfare, jealousy, hate amongst us is because I can see you doing well with your seed and I want to take your seed and get a harvest. I want to manipulate your wisdom and get a harvest. I want to manipulate your skills, your gifts, and use them, dominate you and get a harvest while paying you just a glass of orange juice for giving me 20,000 trees of oranges. When you realize what seed you have, then you will know what to use your time for. Because some people have very good seeds, but their time is spent in nourishing the seeds of others. And there is a big misconception. Of course, I have to do unto others what I want them to do unto me. That is great, but that is in a system that is almost perfect. So if I do unto you what you want me, what I would like to be done unto, and if you do unto me what you would like to be done unto, then my seed becomes your harvest and your seed becomes my harvest. Unfortunately, we have not reached to such a time. It is a very good goal. I advocate, I believe in it, doing for other people what I want to be done for. But don't get the misconception of focusing on what you need to do with your time. There comes to a time where you have to invest in the seed of others. But you need to invest in your seed. Why do you have, again, the hate, the discrimination, the greed, the jealousy? It's because I do not want to use time to invest in my seed. I would not waste my time going for voice lessons. I can sing, but, but I leave the job of singing to the singers. Why wouldn't I go and focus on a career on football in this time in my life? It has a great harvest. These people get paid a lot of money. Well, basketball players are harvesting in the millions. Okay. But why wouldn't I focus my time in that? Because I have realized my seed is in a different strength. And wherever my seed is, that is where I want to pour my energy and my time, realizing that time is an essence of both day and night. Daytime when I can see things in clarity. Daytime when I have no fear. Daytime where opportunity is more visible. Where you need to focus most of your time is making the night like the day, but also to realize that the nighttime has its time and its opportunities. It has its own arena of resources. So again, having 24 hours of daylight is not beneficial to the seed. The seed needs darkness sometimes. The seed needs season sometimes. The seed needs rain, sunshine. The seed needs dry weather for the harvest to be complete. You don't want to be harvesting in a storm. So if you really look at what life is, then you will begin to understand that your biggest resource is not money. Your biggest resource is the time that you have. And now, everyone is a millionaire, billionaire. Everybody has 24 hours in their day. God was not unfair in giving everyone time. Okay? Even those who are running out of time, they still have the 24 hours. It is where they're spending it. How did you spend your last 24 hours? It's the weekend now. I think what day, I forget what day it is, but anyway, it's the weekend here in the UK. It's a Sunday afternoon. How did I spend my time from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Did I sleep 10 hours? Did I watch TV for another 5 hours? Did I sit on the couch and play video games for another 3 hours? And then sleep for another 12 hours the next day? Compare what I have done with my time as opposed to somebody else who has invested that same 24 hours in investigating a new career, developing their language skills, looking into different ways of making networks, increasing their knowledge. I was just talking to my mom a few minutes ago, and we were talking about the same principle about seed time and harvest. And one of the things that came up is, just, browsing online and seeing how people are doing, what people are doing with their time. And this time, or this season of COVID-19, people have realized they've had different seeds that were never tapped into. People are realizing, oh my, I really make a better burger than McDonald's. I really make a mean looking, shepherd's pie. I'm baking cakes better than the nearest bakery. So the time now is revealing different seeds. For some, for those who are using the time wisely, they are able now to have clarity with the day and the night and see a time for opportunity as opposed to a time to waste. If you have money, you will always have a place to spend it. If you have $10,000 in your wallet right now, you can leave your house and come back with zero. You can leave with 20,000 pounds from your house today and come back empty. Why? There is always going to be an avenue for you to spend your money. The same is with time. Where am I spending it? Netflix has great movies that are coming out. There's a competition with Amazon Prime. New movies every week. There are new channels that are coming up. The Disney Channel is there with all your Marvel movies, I think. Okay, even those who are not movie producers are getting into the production of movies so that they can buy your time. Where are you spending your time? Universities like Harvard and Oxford are offering online classes. Where are you spending your time? Very hard for you to get a class in Oxford. Come on, they are now having little, pop-ups on my computer. Join the executive leadership class. Join the 12-week business class. Join this. Improve your language skills. Improve your networking. Where do you spend your time? And the day will be here, the night will come. And after this season is over, you will have people walking with a harvest, showing what they have done with the time in the lockdown, where others will say what they said, I have no time, I ran out of time, and they will be empty-handed. Let's go, just to, I like to talk about the two different types of people. And I saw this, I think, on a blog some time back, and it really made me wake up. There are those who sleep to see their dreams, and there are those who stay up to work on their dreams. What is your dream? Your dream is your harvest. Everybody is equal in terms of time, and everyone is equal in terms of seed. Even though you have a different seed and I have a different seed, we all have seed. We all have time. What we do with the seed and the time is what will determine the harvest. So there are those who prefer to watch their dreams unfold on a movie. There are those who prefer to watch their dreams unfold on a telephone call with somebody, idle words of gossip. There are those who prefer to watch their dreams in books. But there are those who use their hands, their minds, and everything that was given to them to work on their dreams and make them a reality. It's so interesting that once you find your seed, even food is no longer quite pleasing. You're so consumed with the harvest that you forget to eat. You're working almost 20 hours a day, sleeping for 4. Your mind is engaged on that harvest. This is where I believe we should all be. Because once I build myself to be producing harvest, I can't eat a whole sack of oranges by myself. I need to share it. So it's another way of now investing in somebody else who maybe was growing apples. So now I can add diversity into my life because I've worked on my harvest, and now I can use my harvest to bless somebody else, and they can bless me. So in the end, we will be doing unto each other as we would want to be done unto, if that makes sense. Okay, I really hope you are taking the time to think clearly about what I'm saying. So to read in between the lines. Many people misuse their harvest. So they will have a beautiful seed, they will have a beautiful harvest, and then they will use their harvest to make, let's say, marmalade. Okay, so you have an orange seed. You waited all these months for the trees to bloom and to grow into the, to grow their oranges. You waited for them, you nourished the tree, you watered it. Then you got your basket of oranges and you decided that people need orange juice. And you're in a place where other people have oranges and orange juice. So now you have not put yourself in a place where there is demand for your harvest. And so your harvest spoils. Or you decide people need marmalade. So you have not yet taken it to another step of investigating, what can I do with my harvest? Who needs my harvest? I take 2 oranges and the 8 bags left, I can use to trade and get some apples and get some milk and get a nice sirloin steak or get a couple of salmon fillets. That's the thing. All of life circulates on these principles of seed, of time, and of harvest. I hope you will not be the one who sleeps to see their dreams, but you will be the one who will stay up to work on your dreams and make them a reality. And after you make them a reality, you have to do more research as to what you need to do. Okay? Who needs what you're producing? Is there an opening? If that is not the case, are you willing to move to a location where there is demand for your harvest? This is how increase comes in. Let's talk about Noah's Ark as I almost conclude. There are 2 types of people. There are people who are inside the ark, and there are those who are outside the ark. There was an opportunity, there was time for all people to enter the ark. There was time given to them to build an ark. There was time for them to get secure. There was time for them to invest in their children. There was time for them to consider a farm and buy it. There was time for them to get into real estate. There was time for them to go to school. There was time for them to start a business. There was time for them to nurture a relationship. There was time. But in the end, how they managed the time showed where their harvest was. So they either lost their life in the water or they gained their salvation in the ark. Let us read. Genesis chapter 6. So there was a lot of wickedness in the world, and God had made a perfect world where he put his seed, Adam, but Adam was corrupted by another seed from the enemy again. So Adam did not invest his time properly with the seed that he had, and he got a different harvest that God had not imagined. For when God created Adam, he made him to be fruitful. Okay, he blessed him. He told him, be fruitful, increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. That was the harvest that was intended for Adam when his seed was created. What harvest does God intend for you? Are you living below your harvest potential? Can you take this time to consult with the one who made you and ask him, what did you intend for me at such a time as this? What plans did you have for me? And if I'm not there yet, can you accelerate my process? Can you put me in the right locality so that my seed can grow? And can my heart be malleable and soft? And can my heart be molded enough? Can I walk under your will? Am I willing to stay in the light and to be exposed so that I can change? Am I willing to be quiet in the dark? Am I willing to persevere with the day and the night until you're ready to give me my harvest? Because if you take your seed to the wrong environment, Adam, you will have a harvest of death. And so this wonderful seed of fruitfulness and increase and domination and creation was put in an environment where he was doubtful and where he questioned God, he questioned authority, he disobeyed. And these are some of the things that are damaging your seed. You're exposing yourself to people who crush your spirit. You're exposing yourself to environments that are stealing your life away. How do you go and binge drink alcohol 7 days a week? Even with all the prayers and all the anointing oil, your liver will suffer and you will die a painful death. How do you subject yourself to smoking 20 packets in the last, or 2 packets a day for the last 20 years? How do you subject yourself to drugs, and addictions of pornography? How do you put your seed in an environment that is toxic and expect to have a wonderful harvest? You cannot. And so God told Adam, don't take your seed to where the tree of good and evil is. You have not been built to withstand such an environment. And do not eat of the fruit, for you will die. You see, as much as the sun is the master of the day, the moon is the master of the night. God is the master of all. But evil has its own master, the enemy, the one who steals, kills, and destroys. He used to live in the light, but was corrupted by greed and pride. And so he fell from that glory and now is in evil. And so when Adam is being told, do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he was telling him, you are now going to be trading your seed to be under another master. If you walk under the master who is God, then you will have fruitfulness, increase, dominion. You will fill the earth and you will subdue it. You will rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. But if you choose a different master, then that master will use your seed to work for him and you will not get a harvest. And this is what happened to Adam. He forsook the master who was giving him life, and he went to the master who was giving him death. For in the sin, he continued to work and till the ground, and the ground that was not destined to produce thistles and weeds now started producing thistles and weeds for his work. So his harvest, gosh, he would plant oranges, but planting oranges in the environment of evil, gave him a harvest of weeds. And that is where man is trapped in this day and age. Your precious seed, you take it every single day to a dead-end job. Some of you international people have come into a land that you were promised is going to flow with milk and honey, be it the United States of America or be it the United Kingdom. You brought your whole family to a place, but you have compromised your seed and you are now working for a master who is bleeding you and paying you pennies, and every time you want to leave, he offers you a few more crumbs until the day that you retire, and he says to you, let me give you a pension that is a tenth of what you could have received if you worked for yourself. My gosh, we have fallen short of the glory that was intended for us. But why? It is because of what we have used our seed and our time for. Now we are equalized, for the rich and the poor have to stay in their homes, unless of course you're in the front line. And God bless everyone who is in the front line. May God keep them, may God sustain them. But everybody else, a good 80% of people are locked in their homes. What are you doing with the time? Some of you, this is the time to write a book. Some of you, your seed was intended to produce music. Some of you can rent a piano and start learning skills in music or teaching classes online. Some of you are being given time to spend with your children because you have been away from home. Some of you have been given time to nourish your wedding vows, not only what you said in an altar, but now actually getting the time to be that good spouse or be that good wife. Now is the time to improve yourself. Some of you have been given a time to work your way out of heart disease and diabetes. Some of you have been given time. And even some of the things that have been, eased in this lockdown is exercise. Go out and exercise at least for 1 hour. Get out and work out, What will you do with your time? In this lockdown, if you are under the master of deception and evil, this lockdown will give people new diseases of heart disease, obesity, lung problems, smoking and cancer. People are going to come out with different harvests. People will come out in the sea or will have salvation in the ark. Some will die in the sea. And I'm not saying physical death. I'm saying death of the soul and the spirit, which is worse than physical death. And others will find salvation. What will you spend your time in? And going back now to Adam, he was a seed that was given charge of other seeds. My gosh, this is quite beautiful, and I thank God for this opportunity to share. Because it's not only changing your life, it is changing my life. Adam was given such an increase. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, it says, "Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. Now I am putting you in charge of all the harvests in the sky, on the land, in the sea, below the sea, below the earth. It is yours." And he placed him in a garden, and the Lord made all kinds of trees to grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. And from the garden, there were rivers that had gold. The gold of the land was good. Okay, a river watering the garden flowed from Eden, from where it separated into 4 headwaters. Even the rivers had seed. Okay, the name of the first was Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah where there is gold. So even the seed of the ground Adam was given. Now he traded his seed to be under a master who did not even give him a salary that was worth his effort or worth his sweat. Oh, may you hear what the word of the Lord is being said to the church. If you can take time and figure out what your seed is during this season, you will be unstoppable. And you have time to figure it out. Shut down the TV. Switch it off. It's not time to binge watch all these series, watching people live the life that you want, watching them in their mansions, watching reruns of people living in Hollywood, Bel Air, where now you can have time to be quiet in a room and search through your mind and think, can I start a business? Do you think there is going to be another time as this where governments are pouring out money for small businesses? Do you know how easy it is to start a business and apply for a loan? The loans that the banks are giving out now are interest free. When next will you ever get an opportunity to get $10,000 to $20,000 tax free or interest free? You're waiting for the lockdown to be eased so that your norm can go back to the 5%, 10% to pay off a loan. Now is the time for you to readjust your bills, to ask for forgiveness for your debit cards and your credit cards, to start all over again. And the best thing you can do with your time is to binge watch Netflix. Seed, time, and harvest. Okay. Adam was given a seed. You have been given a seed. Adam was given time. You have been given time. Adam ended up spending his time around the tree, the forbidden tree, and from the tree he received harvest. And now Adam was a slave under the darkness of evil. And what happened is Noah's ark was as a result of all this, because the world became increasingly wicked, increasingly evil. And it says in Genesis 6, when human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. Time cut short because the seed was being misused. There was a lot of promiscuity and wickedness, and God said, I cannot stand for this. To see such a man with such a potential wasting his seed on promiscuity and wickedness. Man who was destined to live forever. In fact, even before the time of Noah, men were living up to the age of 900 years. Yes, here you go. Adam lived 800, 930 altogether. Seth, his son, lived 105. Seth lived up to 807 years. In total, Seth lived a total of 912. Enosh lived a total of 905 years. So people were full of the seed of life because they lived in the light. If you keep your seed in the light, you will have life. Because the life will tell you, stop misusing alcohol, stop using tobacco, stop having stress, stop having anger, stop harboring bitterness and unforgiveness. In that environment, your seed dies. And once you add wickedness, God does not contend with wickedness. And so now he said the time of man has been cut to 120 years. And he looked on the earth and said, is everyone unrighteous? Is all of mankind a waste? No, there was one man, Noah. And Noah found favor in the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. The earth was corrupt in God's eyes and God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. They had corrupted their genetic code, and so now they were breeding a harvest of wickedness and evil. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out, and this is how you are to build it. And he gave him the dimensions of the ark of salvation. And he said, you are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to preserve the seed now in a place of salvation, to take the seed out of the wickedness and the corruption and the promiscuity of the world and give the seed a chance. Take the seed of the animals, take the seed and give it a chance for salvation. Put it back in the environment of light. Put it back under its original master. That's what many of you need during this lockdown. To make yourself a new normal. And actually, the new normal is the old foundations, the old fences, to go back to the beginning, to go back to be the man that God intended, to go back to be what God imagined when he was making you as a woman, making you as a man. Going back to the ancient pathways, for we have now built highways over old ground where directions were very clear in the past. Very clear. Very clear. Responsibilities were very clear. Very clear. But now we have muddled the waters and we are drinking from them. And we are teaching these things to our children. I'm talking in such a great degree of parable. I hope that you get the revelation behind this word today. So God told him, you are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Preserve the seed. You cannot preserve seed if your seed is not under preservation. Where are you leading people if you yourself are not preserved? If you are not working for the master of light, who is God Almighty, how are you leading people from the darkness and preserving their seed in the light? Take the time first to remove yourself from the darkness and put yourself in the light, that you may preserve seed, that I may preserve seed. I can only preserve seed as much as I am preserved. I cannot promise anybody safety if I am not in a place of safety. Open your eyes and look at the people you are following. Are they promising you things that they themselves do not have? You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. They will not come to die under your protection. Because you have shown that you can preserve a seed, Noah, I am going to give you, I will elevate you during this time of wickedness and make you a preserver of seed. Jesus, glory to God. During this time, will you be among the number chosen to be preservers of the seed? During this time, will you be chosen to nurture the kids and make a brand new babysitting club? You know, during this time, will you be chosen to have the best business in accounting? During this time, will you be chosen? Will you be picked out because you have shown that you can preserve your seed? Will increase be given unto you, for your increase comes from your seed, my friends. The teachers for the next generation are being chosen now. The musicians for the next generation are being chosen now. The multi-billionaires for the next generation are being chosen now. The fathers and the mothers for the next generation are being chosen now. The leaders for the next generation are being chosen now because they are faithful and they are righteous in the seed that has been given unto them. They do not compromise. They do not debate when it comes to faithfulness. They do not debate when it comes to righteousness. They are being chosen now. And unto them, 2 of every kind, Lord have mercy, of every kind of being that has seed in it will be added unto them, that they may preserve. 2 of every kind of bird, 2 of every kind of animal, and every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. Some of you have not preserved the seed that was trusted to you. You let it die. Well, this is another chance. Another chance with your family, another chance with your business, another chance with your relationships to go back to the drawing board and to make a new normal. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them, so that now, as much as you eat, you show that you are caring for the preservation of others and letting them eat also. How many people in this season of COVID preserved for themselves? Did you think of others when you are running to the store to buy the big bags of rice and toilet paper and all this hand sanitizer that you probably did not even need, because you can just wash your hands with soap and water, singing happy birthday to you, and your hands are clean? He was trusted because whatever he would get for himself, he would give to the lambs and the sheep and the cattle and the turtle doves. What a man, Noah. What a man. What a man. What a man. His stores were big enough for elephants and giraffe and hippos, and small enough for little mice. Do you have capacity for great and small alike, or are you only interested in the capacity of the great? Because sometimes you will be deceived to focus on the great, big things that have already been established, while God is pushing you to a place where He wants you to start from scratch. It will be a shame for you to go back to your regular 9 to 5 to be a slave of the system, and you had 3 months to devise what you need to do with your seed, create a legacy, not only for you, but for your children's children. You cannot go back to the person you were before this season. God forbid. And Noah did everything just as God commanded him. Then the Lord said to Noah, Genesis chapter 7, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. In this generation, can you be counted as righteous? Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animals. Now more increase was given. 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Again, time. And I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. How old was he at this time? He was 600 years old. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, and after 7 days the flood waters came on the earth. For 40 days, the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark above the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. Only Noah was left. Only Noah was left. Every living thing that moved on land perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swam over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. Those people, God help them, they were on dry ground 1 minute and in water the next. There are times when it is not time for you to be on dry ground. It is time for you to be in a closed space. It may look like you are in a tight place covered with animals barking, cows mooing, dogs barking, birds flying around. It may look like you're in a disadvantage, in a smelly dungeon with elephants and giraffe. But that is the place where your salvation is. Those who are out there in freedom died in a matter of minutes. They were wiped from the earth. And the one who looked foolish because he was in an ark during a dry season, because of course, God gave him time to build the ark. And some depictions show, men laughing at him and people scorning him and people, making fun of him building an ark in a dry season. Lord, have mercy. You're supposed to be planting in this dry season. This is not the time for you to go and to preserve toilet paper and bags of rice. This is a time for you to sow. This is not a time for you to hide in your house. It is time for you to get into the wide world web, www.whatever, and make yourself known, introduce yourself with your seed. This is not the time to sit on the couch and look at your dreams or think about the past and all the good restaurants you are able to go to. This is the time for you to build an ark and to invest whatever seed that you have so that you can be preserved in the future. And in the end, after this whole saga with Noah, God told him, so let me read it to you. Genesis 8 verse 18. So after 40 days and 40 nights, so Noah came out together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives. Okay. All the animals and all the creatures came out of the ark, one after another. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of the clean animals and the clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. Is one of the first aims for you after this COVID-19 lockdown to run to McDonald's and enjoy your favorite burger? Where is the sacrifice of thanksgiving? You have missed death. 800,000 people in counting have died. And some of you are still thinking the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and buy a McDonald's burger. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's because you have trained your seed to work in an environment where there's no fruitfulness. So even your thoughts cannot be fruitful. Your thoughts, and if your thoughts cannot be fruitful, your words cannot be fruitful. And you're living a life like a hamster on a wheel, running as fast as you can, but going nowhere. This is time for you to set a new normal. This is time for you to manage your seed and your time so that you can get a new harvest. Don't be lazy during this season. Don't be the person who is seeing their dreams being enacted on the TVs by other people who have taken time to work and use their time and seed for a harvest. Don't be the person who is sleeping over 12 hours a day. Don't be the one who is complaining about this season. This is a season of harvest. It just needs a little bit of perspective. Seed, time, and harvest. I bless the Lord for this word. I give him glory and honor. May he open our eyes and may he open our ears to hear what he is telling the church. Again, my name is Leanne, and I'm coming to you from Kingdom Design. I love you and stay awake.